Alright, so some of you guys might remember that we stole the shifter out of Betty White here, the Firebird, for the RX-7 because the shifter in that was just the wrong one. And the shifter in this, I was able to re-gate it for the Power Glide that's in the RX-7. So, we don't have a shifter for this now. And I spent probably about 2 or 3 days looking at a bunch of different shifters, figuring out what I wanted to go with. I was going to order the same Hurst quarter stick that's in the RX-7 because I like to have a lot of like consistency between cars. That way if something breaks, I can use it on a different one. You know what I mean? Same reason that so many people like having a bunch of LS cars or a bunch of small block cars, etc. It's easy to just share parts between them when something breaks. But I made the mistake of asking my buddy Scott what he thought I should go with for the shifter. And Scott suggested either, I think, an M&M shifter, which that's like 800 bucks, or a Precision Performance Product shifter, which I thought was still about 800 bucks. And I was like, no way, dude, that's ridiculous. So I went to Precision's website and started looking at a bunch of their stuff. And to my surprise, they're really not crazy expensive. I mean, they can be all optioned out and if you get the top of the line ones, but like the one that I ended up getting here, this quick shift, is actually only about 40 bucks more than the Hurst that was in here. So like I said, this is the one that I was gonna get, and this was like $440 or something like that. And then this Precision shipped to my door was, I think, $480. So the reason it took so long to make up my mind is because I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend this much on either shifter, really. I mean, 400 bucks is a lot of money. Or if I wanted to just wheel and deal and try and find a used shifter from someone. And at the end of the day, I just remembered my good buddy Dick Ham saying that the shifter is one of the most important parts of the car. It completely dictates the whole feel of the car, the driving experience, everything. And at the end of the day, this was the shifter that I wanted. So I'll cry about it later. For now, we're going to throw it in the car. Those of you with a keen eye will know that these plates are actually flipped around backwards. That's because I was doing a little bit of test fitting earlier. I mean, obviously it's not in the box. And if I mount it like this, I don't have to cut up a bunch of stuff. I don't have to make a bunch of adapter mounting plates or anything like that. And it actually fits pretty darn good. Because the Firebird has some weird crap on the floor up right about where I would want it to be mounted. Like with the plates, because these holes would move back here, this one would be back here, which would put it right about there. So it'd have to be pretty weird, especially making it hard to reach once I'm all strapped in the car. So it might be kind of hard to see just because the lighting's all weird and windshield's kind of hitting the camera right now, putting it at a weird angle. But I'll kind of give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. So, trying to get strapped in as tight as possible. Right there's reverse, neutral, first, second, third. So I know that I can reach all the gears just fine when I'm completely strapped in the car. Not able to go anywhere. What a convenient fall. But yeah, I'm still strapped in. Right here's give or take where I want it to sit. Might put it on kind of an angle like that, and I can still reach everything just fine. So first, second, third. Kind of hard to do it smoothly when it's not bolted down. The only thing now is figuring out where I want the cable to go through the floor, which is why I might put it on an angle like that, because then I'll be able to go at the side of the trans tunnel over here, because it'll come out about like this. This shifter's so sick. Then right here is going to be the line lock. And then it does come with a really nice cable, 4 stickers for everybody who's into that, and some really nice transmission brackets. Yeah. So I think first thing I'm going to do is get it bolted to the floor. Probably just do some self-tappers, honestly. And then we'll find a spot to drill a hole in the floor for the cable to go through, lift it up, get everything taken care of at the transmission. Then we'll go through the gears, make sure everything's adjusted right. And then after that, the only thing left to do would be wire up the line lock. It's always amusing how many people like freak out about self-tappers. Like they don't work perfect. Like sure, go ahead, drill and put in like your riv nuts and stuff like that if you want, but this is gonna take 1/10 the time and work just as well. That thing's actually like super not going anywhere. Like typically when you do something like this, you wiggle it and you're like, ah, not going anywhere. This one's super not going anywhere. So down the road, I do want to put a carpet in this just to kind of make it look a little bit nicer. And I almost think that with the shifter here, I could probably get away with like a factory console too. I don't know what my fascination with taking race cars and making them street cars is, but I just can't help it. So let me get the shift cable in here. For that, I've got to bring this all the way back to this little half notch. Right there you can see the half notch. And when you go into that half notch, you can see that this hole right there opens up. And this is actually where you're going to slide the pin for the shift cable through. So this cable has this little crimped piece right here that you probably can't see on camera. And this locks into these slots right here on the side of the shifter. But to get that in there, you have to undo these bolts and separate it a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. Kind of an interesting way to mount the cable. You'd think it would almost be easier to, like on this spacer, have just like a machined spot where you can actually bolt the cable. You know, it'd be so easy to do. But this probably keeps costs down a lot. So now we can get an idea on where we want to drill through the floor. So I'm kind of thinking I just want to go through like the tunnel here somewhere. I'll just drill like a smallish hole and then just pry it so that the cable fits through there pretty well. And the good thing about going through right about in here is that this is roughly where the torque arm is, so I'll be able to go on the driver's side of the torque arm to keep it away from the drive shaft. So yeah, I'll probably drill right about in here where it kind of naturally just wants to go. Yeah, so it should be right about in here that I was looking to drill. So hopefully that's not too far. I only got I think a 5-foot cable. Alright, got the cable bracket and the shift lever on there. Not really much to go over there, just a couple bolts. So now I'm going to hopefully drill one hole in the correct spot the first time, and we'll start running the cable through. Let's measure the thickest boy part of this. That says 0.4. I know I've got some 1/2-inch bits off to, let's see, what else do I have? What one do I have that's right below a 1/2? I could always just do a step bit. I've got 7/16 right there. We should, golly, I hope. There's the cable. Just want to see if everything fits. This should fit pretty well then. Shifter cable is through the floor. Now let's get underneath, hook everything up, and then we'll come back inside and bolt it up to the transmission or the shifter again. So I ended up running it through there instead of further back because I was just worried that there wasn't enough cable. Alright, the cable is in the bracket, everything's loose. It still moves nice and easy. It'll be easy to like zip tie it to this cable to keep it away from the drive shaft. So let's drop the car down and see how everything's looking up top. We've got plenty of cable left. I don't know what I was so worried about. We definitely could have brought it back here more. Alright, got the cable all bolted in. Kind of a pain in the butt, but everything is nice and smooth. It's not hooked up to the trans yet. The trans lever, I mean. But the shifter itself is all in there. So not going to wire up the neutral safety switch or anything like that. I am going to eventually wire this to the line lock so that we got line lock here, bump box, trans brake. Alright, so I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the shifter install. Pretty simple overall, but it still definitely changes the feel of the car, I think. It looks nice in there, and it fits pretty well. The shifter's buttery smooth, and it's crazy how light it is. I'd be surprised if it was more than like 3 pounds. And once everything's cleaned up in here, it'll look extra nice. I am going to be getting a Kirky seat in the next week or so. So hopefully it's still in the correct position for that. I'll just make sure I mount the seat where it's comfortable for the shifter. So I think that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.